everybody, this is Chris. Thank you for joining me. Today we are going to do a resin tutorial and also a very summery tutorial. So I'm going to use today UV resin, but if you don't have UV resin, you can use epoxy resin. I like UV resin because it cures very quickly, so you don't have to wait like 24, sometimes even 48 hours for it to cure completely. And you need, of course, a UV lamp. I've used a natural shell for this, and it's summer, so if you want to go on the beach, if you have the opportunity to go on a beach, get some natural shells or little rocks, and you'll be able to do something very similar. So this is the first one I just did. Of course, it can be improved, but I really wanted to do something nice for summer. So actually I decided to make this and mount this because normally you've got three, but I've used, how do you call that? I'm sorry, sometimes I just lose my words between all the languages. Hot glue for this, and hot glue doesn't stick very well on non-porous surfaces, so I would consider using maybe a mixture between hot glue and a very hard glue like E6000 to put this together, so you make sure that it's not going anywhere. I'll show you this at the end of the tutorial when we will be putting all this together, because this is the last pieces we're going to put on our shell. Actually, I want this to be like a soap holder, or it can be a key holder, you know, little stuff where you can put this next to your bed, and you can put your rings on top. It can't hold anything because it's quite big, you can see with my hand. So actually I wanted to put this in my bathroom because I like this beachy theme. But it can be used for many, many things. And it could be a very nice gift also to offer for any occasion, of course. I've used for this, a shell, a natural shell. If you don't find these on the beach, you can't really find them very often. You can find these at the grocery stores, in the fish area. We're going to be using all kinds of different, and I'm going to come maybe a little closer so you can see this. So these are little embellishments. They're normally made for nail art, but they're perfect for resin and for jewelry decoration using resin. So I've got different kinds here. This looks like seashell, the material. These are in gold as well. This is about the same one I have here, so 2 is enough. I'm going to be using some pearls. This is some kind of sand. If you can get some sand, go and get sand. Or you could get some artificial sand as well. This is what I put here all around. And other embellishments, beachy themes. You've got a boat, there's some stars, seashells, many, many things. There's even a little turtle. Actually, I hope you'll be able to see this. Let me see how much I can zoom in. Let me check. Okay, I hope it's not blurry. So you've got some little stars. Here it's a little turtle. Here you've got a seahorse, little pearls, natural seashells here. This one is a natural one as well. And this is just a false grass, like the one you put into an aquarium with fish. You can use that. Or dry leaves. You could use that. It's supposed to be seaweed. So then you could even put some more sand on the bottom. It's going to be very easy. You can decorate this and adapt this as you will to do so. All right, so I'm going to put this aside now. I'm going to get a seashell. So I've cleaned them up, of course, very well. I decided to, oh, I'm too close now, sorry. I kept mine natural. But if you prefer, you could also paint them with a very light pink or white with a little bit of nacre inside, you know, like a metallic or iridescent. Not metallic, but more maybe an iridescent look to it if you want to paint it in pink. Because look at this one, it's natural and it already has this kind of pink. Oh, and I forgot, I put a little bit of gold just on the edge of my shell here to make it look a bit more precious. And I did the same thing actually on the feet, on the smaller shells that I've used. I've used 3 shells for the feet of my soap holder, if you want to call it this way. And I put a little bit of gold also here and there on the top. Just a little bit. So I'm going to do just one. I think I'm going to go for a bigger one. This one seems to be quite nice. And I've also got other 3 smaller ones as the feet. Try to take them the same, kind of the same size if you wish. It'll look nicer. It's just because it's going to be handy to keep it on something. Then just, you can also, you don't have to use feet. You can put it in that way as well. But I think that using some little legs to our seashell is going to make it look even a bit more precious. You can't really see it here, but it's nicer to look at. We're going to be using, as I said, UV resin. So you've got many brands. I bought these on AliExpress because they're actually the cheapest one I can find, and I'm really happy with these. And I'm going to be also using a little bit of coloring, and I'm going to use this vitri. You can use alcohol inks to do that, but this one I like it because it's not blue, it's kind of turquoise, and it's exactly the color I want to go for. And I think it's about it. Oh yes, and I was talking about the shells and the things I have found on the beach. So this is just a little example of everything I have found. I've cleaned them very well, okay, if you go and get them on the beach. I've cleaned them very well, and I've used a little bit of varnish, a spray varnish on top to make them look already kind of shiny, to see what was going to be their real look after you put resin on it, because they're going to look shiny. So now I can really choose the one I like the best. I'm going to use also some, you know, scrapbooking pearls like this. They're flat back pearls. They're perfect for this. Alright, so once you have your seashell, I would recommend, of course, to clean it completely. And I also used rubbing alcohol to make sure that there was nothing left behind. There's some coloring here and there, but that's just the natural color of the seashell. So now I'm going to use one of these. I got everything out, I hope, normally. No more residue inside here. And I'm going to use, I'm kind of being generous on it, but I'm going to go slow on the layers. I'm not going to go too thick at a time because that's how resin goes. And I'm going to go layer by layer, and I'm going to start with the coloring. So there's something that you need to know, because I made that mistake. So that was my really first try. Don't mix the color directly in here, because the colors we're using are very concentrated, like vitriol color. You can use, again, your re-inkers, alcohol re-inkers. It's going to tint your shell, and you can see that it went through. And inside, it's not mixing very well because it's going deep into the shell. So mix carefully into another container before pouring it down. If you don't have sand, you can find some sand also in, you know, cheap stores. I'm going to pour quite a lot of resin here. I have this tool, but I'm not really crazy. They come with these tools, but they're a bit flimsy. I need something a little harder. So what I like to do to use sometimes are skewers, smaller or bigger ones like these. You also have these kinds of tools that are very handy also, and they're made for resin. So now I'm going to take a little toothpick to get my color. I'm going to kind of mix that very well before using it. And vitri colors really do match perfectly with the UV resin. And I'm not putting too much. I think it's a bit too much. I'm taking the excess away. I prefer to add more if need be, but look at that color. It's a really aqua color. If you want to know the name, that is called turquoise blue. But that's perfect. Exactly what I wanted. Oh, and I need a little napkin, paper napkin or so. That's also very handy. I think it's maybe not going to be dark enough. So I'm just going to take that off, take the resin off, dip it a little bit more, maybe here directly there. Really go slow with the colors because they're really concentrated. And I'm going to pour now here my resin. So I'm trying to kind of make it go a little bit where I want, specifically a bit more in there at this bottom. This is going to be, that's the where it's the deepest, so it's the place where it should be the darkest. But I'm still putting a little bit of that blue up to the edges, not everywhere. And you can make it as thick as you wish. There's really no wrong or bad. And it's not that much. It seems to be maybe a lot of resin, but it's not as much as you might think it is. And you see here it's not perfectly rounded, so I might help it a little bit. Just to take your time. It's UV resin. So there's another thing important I've discovered. Try not to work with a too much natural light because it tends to cure. If you're doing this next to a window and the light is coming, you know, from the sun directly, it's going to start curing actually because it's UV. So as soon as it's cured, I'll be back for the second layer. All right, it's cured, and I was comparing this to my first try. Be careful, the under here, it's quite hot. And I was comparing this with this one, and I think I even have more blue in this one. So I think I don't want to add too much. I'm not going to add more blue, actually. I'm going to keep it as is. And I'm going to start layering. That's one of my favorite parts, actually. Let me close this bottle because I won't be using it. Now it's going to be only clear resin. But if you wanted to make darker, of course, put another layer on top. This I will put under the UV lamp because there's just a little bit left and I'm not going to use it. I'm going to choose first one of these big flat pearls that you can use for scrapbooking. I'm just going to take away the sticky part. All right, and I would recommend maybe having your phone. Let me see. It's a bit hot, but it's okay. I didn't have so many bubbles, and even though there was bubbles, I mean, in the water you have bubbles sometimes. You know, fish make bubbles, so I wouldn't care too much, but they were so tiny. And now I'm choosing some of these shells, natural shells, and kind of seeing how I'm going to put them on. So I already put these. I was a little bit inspired by the same one as this one here, which I like. Maybe a little closer. Maybe one of these. I really think they're cute. One could be here. One of this shell as well, all natural. The only thing that's not going to be natural here is, of course, the resin and the color. Let me see. This one is not bad. I have smaller ones I could put here and there, but since I'm going to put different layers of resin, you will have different depth. So it's nice to think about that. Don't put everything on the bottom yet. You can put some of them, but not everything, because you'll be able to put some other beads or other decorations, ornaments on top later on. That's going to be very interesting. So I'm going to stop with the shells. And I'm maybe going to put one of these pearls. I like this one. It has a golden color to it. And I'm going to put a little bit of this false seaweed that I have here that I think is quite nice. And I'm going to put that in the bottom because seaweeds are supposed to be on the bottom. So this is how it comes. It's really not natural. It looks kind of natural, but it's not. And it's used for aquariums with fish, or you can use this, of course, for resin. And I'm going to just use little bits here and use tiny scissors to cut only small pieces at a time. I'm not going to put a tree down there. Take your time when you're doing these decorations. Nothing left on that one. This is a bit too much. I think I'm going to put more around here than I did the first time. I think it looks more natural because that's the way it is. You can also cut it with your fingers. I might put maybe something gold on the bottom, so I'm going to start using these. These are really small actually. Let me see, what do I have here? Tiny seashell. I'm going to put a seashell in a seashell. Let me see. I'm going to grab it with this. And just there, because it's to make it pop out a little bit. I think I need to come a little closer so you can see better. Can you see that little golden piece there? Depending on where the light comes from, you can really see it well. This is hiding probably too much. It's going to move with the silicone, with the resin anyway, so I'll be able to move that around a little bit more if I need to. And you know what? I think I'll put the bead, that one I'll put it even later. Because it's a flat back, I'm going to put resin first, and I'll see that after. So I'm going to put the bigger ones further deep. There you go. This one here. So I'm going to put that one in the bottom too. I'm going to put it here. And this one I'll try and manage to make it stay there. So not everything is in the middle, you know, not everything is placed everywhere the same way. Bear with me, my friends, because, you know, you can't do that in just a second. I don't want to speed up the video because I don't like that. But if you want to speed it up, you can always do so. Kind of thinking where I'm going to put it. Oh, I like it here. It's a bigger one. That's nice. Just putting, yeah, why not? A little bit here and there, why not? Okay, not too much. You see, that one was the piece I just used before, and you just pop it out. Let me go back a little bit. I'm going to pop it out, and you can take all of the excess away very easily once you've cured it. And it's clean. You just need to take a few more bits here and there, and it's all clean, and you can use it over and over again. I don't want to put it again directly on it. I'm scared that it's going to make a big, you know, mess. All right. And now I'm just going to pour over. Like so. And I should have put gloves on my hand, on the other hand, but it's okay. Use a mask. Maybe, you know, be careful if you have any allergies. It's always better to use a mask too, or a well-ventilated area, because especially when you start to pour it now, and then when it starts to cure under the UV lamp, you can really smell there's an odor to it. So be careful with that. If there are some bubbles, like I said, I want to keep them because it makes things a bit more natural. So once in a while, I'm going to keep the bubbles unless there is a big, huge one. Be careful. There might be some bubbles coming out of the shell because there's nothing in it. They're hollow. So I would maybe, you know, turn the shell around a little bit just to make sure that there's no bubbles coming out. A big one. Nothing coming out of here. That's good. And even though there, you can see that my resin is only there, when I'm going to put the other layer on top, this is going to disappear, so don't worry. Okay, I'm going to put this under the UV lamp, and I'll be back when it's cured for another layer. this layer now is dry, and I'm going to keep on layering. So I'm going to put now my little turtle that I didn't put the first time. And I'm going to make it face this way. Let me come and zoom. Okay, so tiny turtle, seahorse, maybe here. There's a wrong side and a right side. That's the right side. I'm going to put it there. All right, I'm going to put some seashells here. I'm going to put this one here on the edge. I've got more space now. I've got another starfish. I'm going to put, that's the wrong side. I'm going to put here. And I've got a smaller one here that I might put just there. I didn't use a lot of real ones actually, but you could put more, of course. And another shell here, and grab it. Yes. More of that in this place. Yep. Not bad. I could put maybe one little bit more seaweed here. A small one. Something like to fill the blanks a little bit, not too much. Maybe here. All right, I like it. And now I think I'm going to fill, I'm not going to fill it up completely, but what I'm going to do is still put another layer. And I'm going to put a little bit of this sand on the edge, like when it comes to the beach. This layer is not going to be, well, it's not going to be too thin. I might put more than 2 minutes. I might put 3 or 4 minutes. Let me see if this is enough. Maybe I could put the turtle now more around here. Yeah, and maybe another bead. I think I'm going to go back for a bigger one, maybe a flat back one in pink again. There. There. Yes. This starfish around here. All right, and now I'm going to take my sand, false sand, and I'm just going to put it just there on the edges. I'm taking the little spoon here. I'm sorry, I hope I was not too much out of focus. I'm really sorry. All right, and now a little bit of this sand. You don't have to go all the way around. That, I'm going to call it good. Maybe one bit here. Tiny bit here. There you go. I'm going to call it good. Oops, that's not the right one. And now I'm going to put it again under the UV lamp. And I think it's going to be good for the resin. It's done. Look at this. It's beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. I still could put another layer on top if I wanted to, but I think it's plenty enough. And if you want to put a soap in here, it's still good because it's going to sit on top. The resin is not all the way up to the edges. I like it this way, but you can make it obviously a little different. This pearl here, you might see it, is not completely covered by the resin, so I might put another layer on top, or add a few things there to kind of make something bigger. I don't know yet, but I do like the way it looks right now. But there's still something to do. I'm going to put a little bit of gold on all sides here. So I'm going to use just an acrylic gold paint. I've got few in here. I think I'm going to go with the same gold, actually. The same gold that there's in here. All right. And let's move back a little bit of acrylic paint and just go like this over the edges. And you can put as much, again, or as little as you wish. All right, I think it's good enough. I hope you'll be able to see that. I'm trying to take a lot of paint off and just putting a little bit like this. I'm really going very, very light there with the paintbrush that is almost dry. Okay, I'm done with this one. I'm going to put it aside to let it dry. I'm going to take a few of these seashells. Also, I've cleaned them up very well. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put a little bit of acrylic paint just there on the edges there. And again, with a very dry one, not putting any water, but when I say dry, I mean with almost no paint, I'm going to go that way. I'm not going to cover it up completely with gold, but just give a little. I think it was off camera, I'm sorry. There you go. I'm going to do this for the 3 feet, and then when it's dry, we'll put our 4 shells together. Okay, everything is dry, so I've got my 3 shells here, and I'm going to put them in this pattern. It doesn't really make a big difference. It's just to see how it's going to fit under. I want this to be fairly flat. I don't want this to be, like this or like that. I want it to be fairly flat, so I need to play with this just a little bit to see how I want these to look like. Oh, I like it this way. You can space them more if you feel, oh, that's even better. I like this way. So, just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to use hot glue, but again, the problem with hot glue, it doesn't stick very well to non-porous surfaces, and this is not porous enough for the glue to go in. So first use the hot glue, and then around your hot glue, I would put E6000 to make everything really hold well in place, or any other really good glue. So I'm going to put hot glue just there on top where I know it's going to be positioned. And some more just here. Right, that's going to be enough. And now I'm going to put it back on. That's perfect. And I'm going to hold it there for a few minutes just to make sure that it's going to be well glued. And done. And there is your soap holder, your jewelry holder, a little stand. This is what it looks like underneath. I mean, it's really cute. And I was even thinking right now, because I have more shells, that you could still stick a few more shells here on this part if you want to. It's really optional, but look at that. Let me come a little closer. I've got more shells. This one is a bit big, but I mean, we could even put more decorations or more pearls on this side as well. So there it is. Again, I will put another layer because you can see that this part here is still sticking out a little bit. But how nice is this? And not everybody's going to have the same for sure. And again, you can put as many things as you want inside. I've used flat back pearls, but you can use round pearls as well. You could use so many things: colored sand, artificial sand, real sand. Look at that. I'm really enjoying myself. And you could make, you know, tiny ones if you wanted to as earrings, because it's really not heavy, even though this one is big. You could use like smaller shells like these and do the exact same thing, but in just tiny. The only problem would be by maybe finding some tiny real shells, but you can maybe find some false shells and put that in here to make some nice little earrings. This is something I might gotta try, but I need to find something really small to be in there. So I hope you enjoyed this video because it was really nice. It seems to be long, but it's not. It doesn't take that much time really to cure. If you put thick layers, put more than 2 minutes for each layer to cure, but it's so easy. It looks really beachy and sunny, and oh, I'm totally in love with this, and I already know a few people that are going to love these, and I'm going to offer them very soon for some birthdays coming up. So please give me some thumbs up for this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. Leave me some comments if you have any questions, or if you just want to come and say hello. I appreciate. And also share on social medias. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon.